So we're moving on from human diseases to plant diseases, and you've got to know plant diseases. And I think it's really important because as you get older, you kind of realize you're always surrounded by plants, and then it's really nice to grow things. And I'm going to see if I can find a picture of my science lab where no gardens that I grow. So um, we'll have a look at. I'll see if I can find that image. And there are three different ways of looking at different diseases. Three not just diseases, three different effects on plants. The first one is viral infection. We tend to at GCSE, pre-GCSE and Key Stage 3 look at TMV. This is tobacco mosaic virus. I hate tobacco. I think it's just a ridiculous thing. You'll look at a virus that attacks tobacco plants and it's called tobacco mosaic virus. And this is how you can see tobacco mosaic virus. There's discoloration of the leaves. This is actually not tobacco. This is alpha mosaic virus. But we tend to look at TMV. Another one is a fungal infection, and plants do get fungal infections. And the fungal infection here that we're going to look at is rose black spot, which is really nice because, well, the name tells you what to look for, black spots. Now, and also sometimes you can have nutrient deficiency. We're not going to have a look at that in that much detail, but here there's probably looking at this yellowing of the leaves. This is lack of magnesium ions. And then you have herbivores and insecticides. So here we can see these are aphids. They are sucking the sap, the liquidy, sugary solution out of plants. So, how to identify if your plant isn't happy? So, stunted growth. What that means is the plant is smaller than it should be. Spots on the leaf, that can mean things like rose black spot. Discoloration, as I said, your leaves change colour. Death and decay of part of your leaves. Unusual growth, and that means like stems and leaves that are weird shape. And sometimes presence of pests like aphids. All right, so here you've got rose black spot. So these are the two that you need to know, okay? And these we will know by name. Rose on a rose plant, tobacco on a tobacco plant. Now, rose black spot, you can tell because you've got black spots on the rose. It's caused by fungus and it's spread by wind or water. And the symptoms mean, well, how do you know? How do you know whether you got rose black spot or not? You got purple or black spots on leaves. And what it does, and the effect of it, is that plants use sunlight to make food, and here's leaf. And plants use sunlight through photosynthesis to make sugar, to make glucose. If they got black spots, they can't make enough because, well, it's not green, and it's the green chlorophyll, the chloroplasts that photosynthesize. So the plant has reduced growth. It is stunted, or it doesn't grow as well. It doesn't matter which term you use, it's just smaller than it should be. And that's because there's not a lot of photosynthesis. Now, tobacco mosaic virus is a virus, the same way you get cold, and it's spread by direct contact. It's not spread by water or wind. It is a really common way of spreading it is tobacco plants are grown commercially, obviously to make cigarettes. That's disgusting. And when somebody's working on one plant that's got tobacco mosaic virus, they transfer it from their hands onto another plant. And it's got specific discoloration, all right? You still have reduced growth. And what I mean by discoloration, if we go back over here, we will see this is discoloration due to a virus. All right. You have to give your plants nutrients. Now, this is something you've never heard of, magnesium ions. Well, some of you may have. Magnesium ions and a little bit of chemistry at Mg2+. We've done that in chemistry. We looked at magnesium in the periodic table. This is a group 2 metal, right? But this is the ion of it. Let's throw a bit of chemistry in here. Plants get this from the soil and they need it. And if there's not enough in the soil, they go yellowish. They don't make enough chlorophyll. That's the green stuff in plants. If there's no chlorophyll, there's not enough photosynthesis, there's not enough glucose, and the plants don't grow. All right. Now, plant defense systems. Plants can defend themselves. And some of them you know, and some of them really cool. Now, this is a physical defense, something physically they can do. And what they have is a waxy cuticle. We looked at that when we looked at organs. And I hope this image reminds you, I don't expect you to remember all of it. I hope this image reminds you of the things that we did in plant organs. So you have this waxy cuticle at the top. And you imagine viruses can't get through that waxy cuticle. So that's a physical barrier. All right. So that physical barrier stops the virus getting through. All right. Now, plant cell walls are made from cellulose. That's lots of glucose molecules stuck together. And again, it's a really, really strong wall, and it makes it hard for things to get through. Trees have bark. This is made from dead cells. And again, it just stops things entering. It stops bacteria entering. It even stops animals eating it. So these are physical defenses. You also have, my kind of least best. I really like nettles. I drink a lot of nettle tea. My wife makes them, dries them out. And we're going hunting for nettles today because it's a brilliant time of year. Get it wrong, they sting you. And this is a chemical defense. All right. There's a slight little acidic solution in these tips that cause, well, nettle stings. All right. And that's really good. It helps the plant defend itself against things that eat it. Okay. Sheep may not like eating nettles because, well, they sting. Some create antibacterial chemicals. These chemicals actually kill bacteria. Now, nettles produce poison. Well, we said that. Mechanical defenses. These are fun. Now, this is thistle. Now, I'm sure if you've gone out this time of year, you'll see thistle. They are spiky on. This is a mechanical defense. It's similar but very different to nettles. Nettles contain poison, although it's a bit of a mechanical defense, but it's more chemical because it contains a poison. There are no poisons in thistle. It's just hard, sharp. All right. Now, there's a really interesting plant that when you touch it, it closes up. The leaves close up. That just makes it hard to eat. I love these orchids. They're called bee orchids. So this is a leaf, a flower, and it looks like a bee. So certain insects are going to stay away, and certain herbivores are going to stay away. Thinking, oh look, there's a bee there. All right, and these are mechanical defenses. All right, so that's the content of today's session. So what you have to do, we're going to do two things. You have to read through. I'm going to get rid of the things you don't need. So we're going to get rid of, you don't need this. You don't need that. You don't need that. I like that. All right, I like that summary there. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so what you have here is biology is very content heavy, and you've got to pull information out. So you've got these questions here, right? And I'm going to connect that last one to here. Right? Let's just make that bigger. So you've got to read text. That's just the thing about biology. There's so much information to pull out. And as always, I like to show you two things. These four are all related. All right. So what happens in how we make things difficult? You start off with some really easily accessible questions. These are easily structured, like you'll see this. This is tick 2 boxes. While this, so if we look at this question, let's look at this question. Which of the following are physical defenses? Well, waxy cuticle, mimicry, cellular cell wall, antibacterial chemical kit, like 2 of them. Now, if we go over here, we have got, that's plant and diseases, I was hoping. Here. So now you've got a long, well, it's a long answer. Explain some physical, chemical, and mechanical defenses. This needs you to write a lot out, but it's the same topic as this. So this is how you've got to learn 2 things, right? Where's the information? What do I do? That's the basic level, and that's what you can do here. Then you've got to develop that further and think, well, how do I write that answer in a sentence? And that's not easy, but that's something that we're going to develop slowly. So your task, read the text, underline the keywords, and we'll write it here. These are your tasks. Read and underline keywords. After that, answer the first worksheet. And then, if you do get further than that, oopsie daisy, try the second long answer sheet. And I think plants are really important. I think this is something that, and I'm going to try to get that image of the window in one of my labs. Let's get that. All right. So those are your tasks. I am going to stop sharing that, get that, get this, stop the recording.